So, you want to learn how to play chess? Well, first, you need to get to know these pieces. Oh, excuse me, never mind that piece. Moving on. In chess, there are 6 main pieces, which are 1. The lazy, slothful king. 2. The prideful, egotistical queen. 3. The Almighty Rook. 4. The sinful, self-righteous bishop.
May the Lord be with you all.
Yes, and also with you. 5. The crackhead, horsey, or pony.
I'm not a horsey or a fucking pony.
What are you then, huh?
I'm a knight.
Okay. 5. The confused knight. 6. The innocent little pawn.
A useless, inferior pawn. That's what it is.
Who you calling inferior?
These are all the essential pieces you need to know. Let's start with the lowest strength piece and work our way up. Pawn. And please, don't confuse it with that late night action you secretly watch. The pawn is the lowest strength piece, worth only a weak 1 point. It moves in only one direction forward, 1 square at a time. If any piece, whether yours or your opponent's, is positioned directly in front of a pawn, the pawn cannot move forward, no matter what. And also, please remember that pawns can't move backwards. However, if an opponent's piece is positioned on a square directly diagonal to the pawn and next to it, the pawn can capture that piece. Despite being the lowest strength piece and often considered less important, the pawn has the ability to promote to any other piece, because at the king, of course, once it reaches the enemy's side of the board, so don't just count them as pathetic. The pony? Oh, sorry. This is a knight, and please refrain from calling it a horse, horsey, or pony, despite it clearly looking like one. Anyway, the knight is a wild, sus little piece and moves in a somewhat confusing way in the shape of an L or a 7. The best way to understand its movement is by following these steps. 1. Count 2 squares from its current square in one of 4 directions. Up, down, left, or right. 2. Move to either one of the 2 squares perpendicular to the square you are now on. In this position, white plays the foolish move, king to c5, trapping himself into a fork. So player, what is the best knight move to fork the king? To fork the king and win the queen. The correct answer is knight to e4, delivering check and winning the queen on the next move, thus securing the game. Note that the knight can jump over other pieces. For example, in the opening, you can simply jump over your own pawns to play knight f3 or knight to h3. This self-righteous prick here is the bishop. Let the name bishop not deceive you. There's nothing holy about it. The bishop is worth only a light 3 points and moves only along the diagonal squares, making it a useful long-range piece. Similarly, it can capture enemy pieces directly diagonal to it. So, never leave your pawns careless in its line of sight. The rook. Being the second most powerful piece, the rook is worth a strong 5 points. With the ability to move in straight, unyielding lines, this piece cuts across the board both horizontally and vertically. A very valuable, long-range piece.
Rook, let's just resign.
Take heart and endure, my king. Fortune favors the brave.
Foolish talk. Check.
Wait, what? Rook to f to check? Oh my god, f to check.
The rook is a straight shooter, never veering off course, cutting through the chaos like a well-aimed missile, leaving no room for curves or confusion. Positioning itself as a looming threat that can box in the king and turn the tide of battle, whether placed in a corner or charging down the center. The rook's presence demands constant vigilance. And no, don't call it a castle or tower. It's a rook. The most powerful piece on the board, the queen. This isn't just a chess piece. This is royalty. This is diva energy. The queen is the undisputed powerhouse of the chessboard. Diagonal lines, she dominates them. Lines both horizontal and vertical, she owns them. Every direction bends to her will. She's basically 2 pieces in one. Part rook and part bishop. The queen is worth a ridiculous 9 points, basically the MVP of the board. Let's be real, this piece doesn't play fair. And if you somehow let your queen get taken, oh buddy, get ready for existential dread. Bottom line, protect your queen because once she's gone, you're just waiting to get checkmated. Finally, the most important piece and the laziest bastard of them all, the king. Now pay attention, for this piece is somewhat special with unusual rules around it.
For the king is a piece most holy, around whom the battle doth rage. For the purpose of the game is to compass him about, and to bring him into checkmate, that he may be overthrown. The commandments of the king in chess doth decree. 1. Thou shalt move thy king to any of the 8 squares round about him, if no enemy piece doth threaten that square. 2. Thou shalt capture any enemy that standeth nigh, but only if no foe doth threaten the place where it standeth. 3. If thine enemies put thee in check, thou shalt first deliver thyself from peril before making any other move. Thus doth the king remain the paradox of chess, a ruler whose fragility defines his strength. Long may the king endure, the laziest yet most indispensable of monarchs.